You're 6 years old. A worn-out football is the most valuable thing you own. Every afternoon, you imagine thousands of fans chanting your name. Everyone says becoming a professional footballer is impossible. Less than 1% ever make it. But today, your journey begins. From a neighborhood kid with impossible dreams to lifting football's greatest trophy in front of billions. Every training session, every injury, every goal, every decision will decide whether you become a forgotten talent or a football legend. Every evening after school, you race home with only one thing on your mind. Homework could wait because football was waiting for you. Every kick made you believe. You were one step closer to your dream. The neighborhood became your stadium. Every goal felt like the winning goal in a World Cup final. You didn't know it yet, but these small moments were building the foundation of a future football legend. While other kids went home to play, you stayed behind to train. The brick wall became your teammate. Every mistake became another lesson, and every successful touch built your confidence. You didn't count the hours. You only counted one more shot. Day after day, your dream became stronger than your excuses. Soon, someone would finally notice the kid who never stopped practicing. One Saturday morning, your coach finally called your name. Your heart raced as you stepped onto the biggest field you had ever seen. When the whistle blew, every lesson you practiced suddenly mattered. You dribbled past one defender, then another. Then you took the biggest shot of your life. The ball crossed the line, and for the very first time, you believed your dream could actually come true. Your first goal gave you confidence, but your first tournament would test your character. For the first time, you faced players who were just as determined as you. Some matches were easy, others pushed you to your limits. Then came the final, where every touch felt heavier than ever before. When the final whistle sounded, your team had done it. The trophy was small, but to you, it felt bigger than the world. As everyone celebrated the trophy, one person wasn't cheering. While others saw a happy kid, the scouts saw potential. Talent wasn't enough. They were searching for players willing to work harder than everyone else. A few days later, your coach received an unexpected phone call. An invitation had arrived. You were invited to an academy trial. This wasn't your dream anymore. It was your first real opportunity. On trial day, you quickly realized you weren't the only one chasing the dream. Every player believed they could become the next football superstar. The coaches weren't looking for the biggest, they were looking for the smartest, fastest, and hardest working players. One mistake didn't end your chances, but giving up would. Hours later, exhausted and covered in sweat, all you could do was wait. Tomorrow, one list would decide whether your football journey continued or ended before it truly began. The next morning, hundreds of young players gathered outside the academy. Every heartbeat felt louder as the coaches prepared to reveal the results. Some dreams would continue today, while others would end. You squeezed through the crowd, searching for one name. Then, you finally saw it. You weren't a professional yet, but for the first time, someone officially believed in your future. Getting accepted into the academy wasn't the finish line. It was the starting line. Every morning started before the sun because champions don't sleep through opportunity. Your days became a cycle of training, learning, eating, recovering, and doing it all again. The coaches corrected every mistake because small details create great players. Every week, the competition grew tougher. Everyone wanted the same place on the team. This was the first time you understood talent might open the door, but discipline keeps it open. As the months passed, training became faster, harder, and far more demanding. It wasn't enough to love football anymore. Now you had to master every part of it. Your coaches didn't praise effort, they praised improvement. Slowly, your body became stronger, your feet became quicker, your mind became faster. The players beside you weren't teammates during every drill. They were also your competition. Every practice ended the same way, exhausted, exhausted again, but one step closer to becoming the player you dreamed of. Then, someone new joined the academy. Within minutes, everyone could see how talented he was. For the first time, you wondered if you were good enough. You could have given up. Or you could learn from the player who challenged you. Every day, your rival made you train a little harder. That's when you discovered one of football's greatest lessons. Your biggest competitor can become your greatest teacher. Everything was finally coming together until one ordinary training session changed everything. One awkward step, and a sharp pain shot through your ankle. For the first time, football wasn't about scoring goals. It was about standing back up. The diagnosis wasn't permanent, but it would keep you off the field for weeks. Every day, you watched your teammates improve while you could only watch from the sidelines. That's when you learned even the legends spend time on the sidelines. The difference is they never stop believing they'll return. Recovery was nothing like football training. Every improvement was almost invisible. Some days, your biggest victory was taking one more step without pain. While your teammates trained on the pitch, you trained to earn the chance to return. Week after week, the impossible slowly became possible. The first time you touched the ball again, it felt like meeting an old friend. You returned to the field stronger than before because resilience had become part of your game. Returning from injury wasn't the hardest part. Earning your place back was. While you were recovering, someone else had taken your position. Nobody was going to give your place back. You had to earn it. Every practice match became another chance to prove you belonged. Slowly, the coaches stopped seeing your injury and started seeing your improvement. One afternoon, your name returned to the starting lineup. You hadn't just recovered, you had earned your place all over again. Years of sacrifice had brought you here. The final academy evaluation. The coaches didn't just review your goals. They reviewed every decision, every effort, and every improvement. Then the academy director smiled. You had officially earned your first professional contract. The contract wasn't the end of your journey. It was your ticket into an even bigger world. The little kid who once treasured one old football was now one step away from becoming a professional. Signing the contract felt incredible until you walked into your first professional dressing room. These weren't academy players anymore. These were professionals who lived football every single day. Every pass moved faster. Every decision came quicker. Every mistake was punished. For a moment, you felt like the smallest player on the field again. Then one experienced teammate quietly reminded you everyone starts somewhere. You weren't there to be the best player yet. You were there to learn how professionals became legends. After months of relentless training, the manager finally called your name. For the first time, your name was on a professional matchday squad. As you walked through the tunnel, every childhood dream suddenly felt real. Then, the fourth official lifted the substitution board, one deep breath, and your professional career officially began. You didn't score. You didn't become a superstar overnight. But one simple step onto that field changed your life forever. Making your debut earned applause, but staying in the team had to be earned every single day. The smallest details suddenly mattered. Every sprint, every pass, every decision. You realized talent got you here. Consistency would keep you here. Then came another team meeting, and everyone waited for the starting lineup. This time, your number wasn't on the bench. You weren't just a young prospect anymore. You had become someone the team could trust from the very first whistle. Now that you were in the starting 11, everyone expected more than effort. Match after match, you created chances, but the goal never came. Instead of chasing the perfect shot, you focused on making the right play. Then, one afternoon, the opportunity finally arrived. One touch, one shot, and years of dreaming became one unforgettable moment. The scoreboard recorded one goal, but you knew it represented every early morning, every setback, and every step of your journey. Scoring your first goal made headlines for a day, but winning a championship required an entire team. For 90 minutes, every tackle, every pass, and every decision mattered. As the final minutes ticked away, nobody cared who scored. Everyone cared about one thing. Then, the referee blew the final whistle. As you lifted your first trophy, you realized success feels better when it's shared. The little kid who once played with one old football was now a champion. But the greatest dreams were still waiting. Winning the championship earned respect, but leadership had to be earned every single day. You stopped thinking about your own performance and started helping everyone around you improve. The coaches noticed, your teammates noticed. Eventually, everyone trusted you. Before one important match, the manager walked toward you. Without saying much, he handed you the captain's armband. The armband didn't make you a leader. It simply showed everyone what you had already become. Captaining your club fulfilled one dream. Then another opportunity arrived that every footballer imagines. Inside was something you had imagined since you were a child. Your first national team call-up. This time, you weren't just representing your club. You were representing millions of people. When you heard the national anthem before kickoff, every sacrifice suddenly came rushing back. Your first touch in international football felt exactly like your first touch as a child, full of hope. The little kid who once dreamed of playing football was now wearing his nation's colors, and the biggest stage in the world was getting closer. Playing for your country was unforgettable, but every footballer dreams of one stage above all others. As you entered the stadium, you realized billions of people were watching the same game. Standing beside teammates, you remembered the little kid who once practiced alone. When the match began, it wasn't just another game, it was the dream you had chased your entire life. Win or lose, you had already accomplished what millions only dream about. The journey that started with one old football had reached the world's biggest stage, but your greatest legacy was still being written. Very few players are remembered only for trophies. The greatest are remembered for the people they inspire. The records were impressive, but the lives you touched mattered even more. Soon, young players began asking you the same questions you once asked your own heroes. That's when you realized your greatest achievement wasn't becoming famous. It was proving that an ordinary kid with an impossible dream could change the future, one step at a time. Because becoming a football legend was never about being the best player in the world. It was about becoming the reason someone else believed they could be. You were never born a football legend. You weren't born lifting trophies, leading your teammates, or playing in front of millions of fans. You started exactly the same way every footballer does. One old football, one empty field, and one impossible dream. Along the way, you missed shots, lost matches, suffered injuries, faced rejection, wondered if you were good enough, but every setback became another step forward. Because football has never rewarded the most talented player. It rewards the player who refuses to stop improving. Every sprint, every training session, every early morning, every difficult decision, every sacrifice, every single one mattered. Maybe you'll never play in a World Cup. Maybe you won't lift the biggest trophy, but the lessons football teaches, discipline, courage, teamwork, resilience, leadership, those victories stay with you long after the final whistle. And somewhere, right now, another child is kicking an old football for the very first time. Maybe they're dreaming of becoming the next great player. Maybe that child is you. Because every football legend begins exactly the same way. One child, one ball, one dream.